Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how are you today? Okay, first of all, let's thank to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala who's given us mercies and blessings so we can attend and gather in this meeting or with our video with happy condition and good situation. So in this video, we will explain about the analysis of intercultural competence of short story Shooting on 11 by George Orwell. Our member is consists of 8 members. They are Sheikh Natalna Ahmad Dafu, Nabila Siti Aisyah, Farah Mufidah, Felani Rizkiana, Muhammad Sana Sarif, Wilma Afriya Rizki, and last is Maulana Andika Arya Putra. So next, what material we gonna explain? First, there are summary of short story and verbal communication, non-verbal communication, discrimination, stereotype, problem solving, and point of view. I will ask you, do you know the story of the 11? What comes to your mind about that story? Something interesting or terrible? Let's get started. A summary of Shooting an 11 short story.
An 11, one of the time 11 which the local own and use, has given its reader or Mahout the sleep and has been working hard throughout the bazaar. He know the rifle won't be good enough to kill the 11, but he hopes that firing the gun might scare the animal. Orwell discovered that the 11 has just trampled an man, a colite or native labor, to the ground, killing him. Orwell sent his pony away and called for an 11 rival which would be more effective against such a big animal. Going in search of the elephant, Orwell finds it coolly eating some grass, looking as harmless as a cow.
Now let's go to the verbal communication. Uh, in this slide, we can see there is three example of verbal communication that we found on the story. The first one uh, is when a nimble Burman tripped me up on the football field and the referee, another Burman, looked the other way. The crowd yelled with hideous laughter. This happened more than once. In the end, the sneering yellow face of young men that met me everywhere, the insult hurled after me when I was at a safe distance, got badly on my nerves. The young Buddhist priests were the worst of all. There were several thousand of them in the town, and none of them seemed to have anything to do except stand on the street corners and jeer at Europeans. So as we can see in this line, the narrator, who also the main character of the story, is experiencing insults from a lot of Burman. He received insults such as booing and mocking. Moreover, the young Buddhist priest, whom he thought do the worst insult. The insult itself is happened for a reason. It happens because the main character is an officer of the British Empire who performs colonialism towards Burma country, or today is known as Myanmar. The second one is early one morning, the sub-inspector at a police station the other end of the town rang me up on the phone and said that an elephant was making the bazaar. So, in this line, the protagonist received a call from his upper rank. He, the sub-inspector, informed the protagonist that a mad elephant was released from its chain and doing a rampage towards the citizen of a small town. And the last, there was a loud, scandalized cry of "Go away, child!" Go away this instant. And an old woman with a switch in her hand, a camera came round the corner of a hut, finally shooing away a crowd of naked children. So in this line, uh, a woman shouts verbally towards the children. She shouts very loudly and very hopelessly because she was concerned that the child may have become the victims of elephant's rape.
Let's we have the next materials. As my friend previously discussed about verbal communication, this is the opposite, namely non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is the process of convey the intent or purpose without using words, either written or spoken. In other words, any communication that is carried out between two or more people through the use of facial expression, hand gesture, body language, posture, and gesture is referred to as non-verbal communication. Alright. And well, let's try to analyze some of the sentences in the short story Shooting an Elephant. The first one is on first paragraph. When a nimble Burman tripped me up on the football field on the river, another Burman looked the other way. The crowd yelled with hideous laughter at me. This shows that the main actor has made non-verbal communication in the form of body gesture, where the actor is considered the worst player because he is not native, and he has been used to getting ridicule from other officers. He has become accustomed to being an easy target that is always the laziest to eat. Alright. And then the second one on second paragraph. As for the job I was doing, I had it more bitterly than I can perhaps make clear. In a job like that, you see the dirty work of empire at close quarter while making the vase under the chin. This is also non-verbal communication in the form of micro-expression that show how much hate and anger the officer is for being on something awry and confusing. Where he hates the empire and is angry at his evil little beast is another officer's friend. The last one is on fifth paragraph. They watch me like they would watch a magician doing a trick. They don't like me, but with a magic gun in my hand, I deserve a moment's watch. This is verbal communication too, in the form of eye gaze, which included the use of facial expression, where they deliberately line up behind tall bushes and always look at the officer without taking their eyes off them. It as if they are saying, I really hope for you, and I'm sure you can show him. Him the word here is elephant.
Discrimination. So, what is discrimination? Discrimination is the overt action of excluding, avoiding, or separating oneself from other groups as a result of stereotyping or prejudice. So, discrimination is the real action of prejudice and stereotyping. Discrimination can be based on racism or any of other terms associated with cultural groups membership such as sexism, ageism, and elitism. Discrimination is the result of a more powerful group harboring preconceptions towards a less powerful group, resulting in discriminatory actions directed against members of that group. Intercultural communication is hampered by discrimination, which involves the unfair treatment and/or denial of equal treatment of individuals or groups on the basis of race, gender, religion, ethnicity, or handicap. At this time, we would like to show you the discrimination in The Shooting Elephant short story. The evidences of discrimination are obtained within the plot of the story through quotation. The first evidence. The young Buddhist priests were the worst of all. There were several thousands of them in the town, and none of them seemed to have anything to do except stand on street corners and jeer at Europeans. So from this quotation we can see the way in which Buddhist priests in Burma spend their times to jeer at Europeans. It is one kind of the discriminations that Europeans get in Burma. The Europeans are being treated unfairly anywhere and anytime just because they are a less dominant group. Next, no one had the guts to raise a riot, but if a European woman went through the bazaars alone, somebody would probably speak Betelgeuse over her dress. It is obviously the other kind of discrimination that is shown in the short story. The local people usually speak Betelgeuse towards a woman just because she is a European, which is kind of unequal treatment towards individual based on race. And then the third evidence, when a nimble Burman tripped me up on the football field and the referee or another Burman looked the other way, the crowd yelled with hideous laughter. This happened more than once. So this evidence shows that besides in doing his work as a police officer, the main character also experienced the discrimination in his daily life. When he played a football and he was fouled by the other player who was local people, the referee pretended not to know about it, which is a kind of unequal treatment.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about stereotypes. Stereotypes in intercultural communication refers to some inflexible statement about a category of people, and these stereotypical statements are applied to all members of the group without regard for individual differences. It assumes that everyone from a group has certain characteristics and allows no room for individual differences. So it is by no means the same as information about another culture. There is also an opinion that stereotypes can be divided as a generalization about some groups of people that oversimplifies their cultures. When meeting people from other nations and cultures, people usually have a natural tendency to perceive their behavior from the position of their culture. So, people who use stereotypes make reality fit their preconceptions. People tend to see what they expect to see, and the different cultural identities of the person attempting to communicate will encourage it to perceive the other as having group attributes rather than as being a unique person. Well, next, there are some stereotypes in this story. Number one, a sahib has got to act like a sahib. He has got to approve resolution, to know his own mind and do divinate things. The narrative emphasizes that there is a stereotype the British colonial figure as a cool and authoritative figures, doing what is expected to them in their own role. Number two, all I knew was that I was started with my hatred of the empire. I surged and my rage against the evil-spirited little beast who tried to make my job impossible. The narration seems to stereotype the Burmese. The narrator calls them evil-spirited little beasts, equating them with animals. Number three, a white man mustn't be frightened in front of native, and the people expected it of me, and I had got to do it. This decision to kill the elephant was made to fit the Burmese stereotype of the British or him as a violent killer. Alright, that's all from me. The next material will be explained by my friends. Thank you.
There are several problems in the story, including in Shooting an Elephant by Orwell. Orwell is asked to solve the problem of a roaming elephant, an issue that runs deeper than that, however, is the issue of city government management and how the townspeople expect our world to reach to such a situation.
Okay, the next slide is about analysis point of view in shooting an elephant. In this short story, the narrator tells the story in first person point of view. He blames British tyranny and Burmese reaction to it for his troubles. As the following paragraph indicates, I was stuck between my heart of the empire I served and my rage against the evil spirit little bits who tried to make my job impossible. With one part of my mind, I thought of the British Raj as an unbreakable tyranny, as something clamped down in secularism, you bound the will of progressive peoples. With another part, I thought that the greatest joy in the world would be to drive a bayonet into a body spirit's guts. Feelings like these are the normal byproduct of the imperialism. Ask any Anglo-India official if you can catch him off-duty. The narrator also asserts that when the white man turns tyrant, it is his own freedom that he destroys. But it is simply making excuse for his own shortcomings. After all, he could refuse to shoot the elephant and walk away. True, he would lose face, but he would retain his honor. His consequence would remain clear. However, under pressure to kill the beast, he can't muster the courage to abuse the will of crowd. So, he decided to shoot the elephant, even though he admits that he is a poor shot with a rifle. But that decision is not his only mistake. He also errs when he fails to seek advice from someone in the crowd, from the sub-inspector or from the owner of the elephant gun, on where to direct his shot. After firing the first shot at its skull in front of an ear, he wounds but does not kill the elephant. He then fires two more cartridges at the same spot, but the elephant, toughed down, refused to die. The narrator then makes a bloody mess of things. First, he fires the last two elephant gun cartridges into the body of the elephant in hopes of hitting the heart. When that strategy fails, he fires several rounds from his Winchester into the elephant's mouth and body. The elephant remains alive, and the narrator can do nothing but walk away. The elephant lies in agony for another half hour before dying. One may conclude that, yes, the British government is condemnable for its subjugation of the people of Burma. One may also conclude that individual British overseas are reprehensible for allowing government policy to run roughshod over their consequence.
So, how is it? Interesting, right? From the summary to the point of view of the short story Shooting an Elephant by George Orwell. Let me know if you like this video. We all say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching our video to the end. And until we meet again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.